Hi, this is John Mancini. I'm president of AIM, and I thought I'd spend a little bit of time with you going through some of the core recommendations in our new industry watch that's focused on what should your organization be doing with regards to social technologies. So this is part of our overall industry watch series. This particular one is called Social in the Flow, Transforming Processes and Sharing Knowledge. You can download this for free. I'll give you the details in a little bit. But as always, these are available for your use within your organization at no charge. So what I thought I'd do is spend a little time on the key findings in the survey and then go from there to talk about some of our action items associated with those findings. The first thing is that there is a high degree of uncertainty in organizations with regards to exactly how social technologies are used and how particularly they are supposed to be integrated with regards to processes. And a couple data points will illustrate this. First of all, you have essentially half the people that we surveyed are encouraged to use social tools at work, and half of that sample are given no guidelines at all for how they should accomplish this. So clearly a good deal of uncertainty when it comes to what the role is of the individual employee in driving the integration of social and process. Second data point is 64% of organizations are using social but have no integration to their business processes. So a fairly immature deployment pattern within most organizations. This is, I think, actually where the next round of value associated with social will occur. It clearly is not enough anymore to just do social for the sake of social, that this question of integration into business processes is critical. Third data point is nearly half of the organizations we surveyed don't have official strategies for social content creation and management, so a clear void in those organizations. And 76% are not recording any social content as enterprise records, and 53% of these are choosing not to store social content at all. So a gap in organizations between what we at AIM like to call systems of record, systems of engagement. Clearly these systems of engagement are viewed separate from the old world of systems of record, and that has to change, I think, for organizations to really optimize their solutions. So the second cluster of data points that we found refers to process opportunity that's out there. And again, this reflects the relative immature state in most organizations of the integration of social and business processes. So 50% of organizations clearly see the value here. They would see it as either very valuable or extremely valuable to integrate social into all types of business processes. The popular candidates out there right now are customer support and marketing, and that seems pretty understandable, I think, if you think about the evolution and history of social technologies. When you think about this, 51% are really looking aggressively at this question of collaborative document authoring and the integration of that functionality into their social solutions within the next 12 months. And then within the marketing subset of processes, what you see at the top of people's list are things like event promotion, content promotion, brand management, product promotion, and customer feedback. So within all that, I think, as we started to think about this question of the findings in the survey and think about some of the action items associated with those findings, there's 4 areas that I'd like you to think about with regards to some issues you ought to think about and some action items that you ought to have with regards to social in the flow. The first is not to skip the step of thinking about specifically how social is relevant to your business. Don't confine your thinking to just marketing or corporate communications. That's the place where social technologies tend to arise in organizations. But think expansively about this, but also be specific about thinking about the value and role of social technologies. Second thing is map out, according to those use cases, exactly who's going to be responsible for the different types of social interaction within your organization. Thirdly is, whatever that business case is, really think through this question of guidelines and policies, because in the absence of guidelines and policies, nobody's really going to understand exactly what it is that you specifically want them to do. So some of the things you ought to think about is, again, use case by use case, think about why the business has chosen to use social for this particular use case, explain the role that users play, explain what kinds of contributions are expected, and more specifically, what are acceptable forms of contribution, and also the consequences of failing to follow the guidelines. And make sure you involve HR in that process as well. I think lastly, in terms of action items, is explore how the deeper integration of social into your enterprise processes can benefit, and view it from a variety of different perspectives. So for example, describe the potential benefit of social integration, describe the extent of the social community that you're trying to create and how difficult it might be. And you might also explain why you're trying to avoid point solutions, because point solutions can increase the cost of integration, can ultimately increase long-term the complexity of your solution, and you ought to think through those issues on the front end. So this has been part of our Social in the Flow, Transforming Processes and Sharing Knowledge Industry Watch. I wanted to share some of the key findings with you, and if this perks your interest at all, make sure you download the research. As always, it's free at aim.org/research. So this is John Mancini for Industry Watch. Thank you for your time today.